that my audience is people that are over 40, that have busy lives, maybe going through perimenopause, menopause. They haven't really worked out. I have so many women that say, okay, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating what you tell me to eat. The scale isn't budging. Number one, throw away the scale. You want to see your body composition, not the scale, because the scale could not change and you're increasing fat and losing muscle, especially during those menopausal years. It is very difficult to hold on to that muscle. And I tell my young girls, that muscle that you're building is expensive. So with that being said, most women say, I don't know what you mean by lifting heavy weights. Like, I understand getting on a treadmill. I understand going for a run, maybe go play tennis. Not really, because they don't have the time to, but they don't understand what it means to lift heavy weights. They're scared of it. They're scared of going to the gym because they're afraid to look funny. You've got people watching you. You don't know how many reps to do. You don't know what weight to choose. Is it going to be heavy enough, or am I going to get injured? Are my bones brittle? There are all of these things that are confusing unless you've grown up in the gym as an athlete. Most women don't know where to start. And what I love about the tunnel is that it overcomes some of that. So can you talk first about the importance of strength training and muscle for us women over the age of 40?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is something where it just takes a long time for like research and public policy to translate into actual changes for the general population out in the world. If you think about go back 50 or 60 years, that's when the cardiovascular aerobic training and the evidence base started. Oh, if I kind of do some walking or some treadmill running or go on a bike, these people associations, these live longer than people that don't do that. And then over time, starting in probably the 80s or so, we start to see this sort of somewhat of an increase, or at least an understanding of the benefits of cardiovascular training to longevity and to health span too, but particularly to increasing the number of years that you were alive. The same research is very much true of resistance training, but probably started 20 or 30 or 40 years later. So it's probably in the late 90s, early 2000s that we started building this body of evidence that, hey, not only does cardiovascular aerobic training help you live longer, but we see these same associations, decreases in type 2 diabetes, in cancer rates, in Alzheimer's, with people that are strength training and resistance training too. And then over the last 20 years, from like what we'd call epidemiology research, this idea of tracking, people that do this get better outcomes. That's not causal necessarily, but what we've seen over the last few years is more and more randomized controlled trials. This idea of, hey, if we take a group of people and we strength train them versus a group that don't, we start seeing all these positive benefits of strength training. And I would say, yes, you need to strength train as an Olympic athlete, and that's a non-negotiable for pretty much everything. I would say it's the same level of non-negotiable if you're a 40-year-old or older female that wants to live both a long life, but a high-quality life. Because it's muscle mass, and we measure muscle mass in body composition. But that's important because it's good for glucose uptake. It's good for metabolism regulation. We expend more energy. The muscle is beneficial, and there is a relationship between muscle size and muscle strength and power. But what we really care about from a function point of view is muscle strength and power. And by that, I mean, do you have the strength when you're older to get up the stairs? Do you have the strength to lift the shopping out of your car and take it to the fridge? Do you have the strength to take your travel-on suitcase and put it in the overhead bag, which actually is a power exercise because you need to do it relatively quickly? So when I say power, we're not talking about Olympic clean and snatch weightlifting or anything like that. Clean and jerking, we're talking about these everyday activities that don't seem like power until we can't do them very quickly. And power is force, and speed, our ability to apply force quickly. And so these are the activities of daily life that are super important. And so the muscle mass and maintaining muscle mass is certainly important. And it's important for glucose metabolism. It's important for regulation of a whole bunch of stuff. But the function of muscle, that strength, that power, that's what's allowing you to continue to play tennis into your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond. It's what's giving you that golf, driving range. You want to be able to hit the ball. 150, 200, 250 yards, power. It's these strength exercises that are super important. And there's a ton of research. It just takes some time to get into practice. And then there's all these barriers that you spoke about, and we can continue of why that hasn't happened, particularly in the female population. And additionally, with females, we obviously have menopause and osteoporosis, right? And we have the decrease in bone mineral density and associations there. Now, there is limited evidence, but what I can say with a high degree of confidence that strength training is one of the best ways to maintain the muscle, the bone mineral density that you have. It's definitely very effective. Lifting, essentially placing your body under stress with a heavy load, will help you maintain. There's some evidence, particularly out of Australia, that it may even increase your bone mineral density. This was not thought to be that possible until relatively recently. We thought we max out our bone mineral densities in our 20s, and then it's just how quickly does it decline? Does it decline slowly, or does it decline quickly? But I think there are limited research out of Australia in perimenopausal women, postmenopausal women, that are actually showing increases in bone mineral density in their post-menopause 50s, 60s, and beyond by lifting heavy. So yeah, tons of research around how beneficial it is, both for disease prevention, but also just quality of life. Health span is the term that's used a lot.
I did a podcast on a study that connected frailty with a lack of muscle with predicting dementia.
Yep.
And there you go, right? Exactly what you're saying. So it's not just the quality of life, it's not just the vanity, it is your brain, it is the progression of cognitive decline. It affects your brain and your body and your mood in so many ways. And exercise is the only way to increase BDNF, which is connected to alleviating depression, away from drugs, away from supplements, all of that. I mean, it's free. So why not? And I know
Stu Phillips out of McMaster, a very prominent researcher in this space, and I think he's quoting someone else, but I can't remember who that is. But like, if resistance training, if exercise in general, but resistance training specifically was a drug, it would be the most successful selling drug of all time. The benefits for physical and mental are undeniable.